Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Honest Conversations with Esther. My name is Esther, and I'm the host on this channel. So, today we're going to be concluding a series that we started in February, and this series was on letting go and moving forward. So, we did this series threefold. So, we started with letting go when it comes to a breakup. How do you move on from a breakup? We went on to talk about letting go when it comes to your job or a career that you can no longer do, maybe because of an injury or you just lost your job. How do you move on from a career and what do you do with yourself? Third, we're going to be talking about letting go in terms of grief. I've put this one off for a long time because I wanted to bring depth to the subject. And not only that, like I tried to script it, but honestly, I couldn't. Because as the channel is called Honest Conversations with Esther, I like to just keep it real here, keep it real honest, and just be truthful. And the reason why I couldn't do this video is because I had to answer the question, how do you let go of a loved one? And the truth of the matter is, you never do. Because I thought that you could actually get to a point where, okay, the death of a loved one no longer matters. But if they're truly someone you love, losing them will always actually matter to you. So the bigger question then would just be, how do you move forward with your life and not let grief be the most important part or the biggest part of you? How do you move forward and not continue with the grieving process? When it comes to letting go of a loved one, I think that if you truly loved someone, they'll always be a part of you that still misses them and remembers them. But I guess what people try to answer when they ask this question, what they're really asking is, how do I not wake up every day and just want to stay in bed? How do I not go about moping and crying all the time? So, the first one I'd like to acknowledge in all of this is God. I'd like to acknowledge God in all of this. He's been really there for me, and I'd have to be honest in saying that if I didn't pray through these moments, they would have been heavy and they would have been really hard. Because I think in this moment, he's the only one who I could truly trust. Because I felt like I was dealt a bad hand, to be honest, hey? Because you didn't ask for these things. You know, life throws you things that you didn't ask for, but they show up at your doorstep anyway. You know, and how do you deal with it? And then I keep going back to the responsibility fault fallacy. It's a concept I actually came across in a book. You know, as human beings, we like to believe we're only responsible to fix something if it was our fault in the first place. When it comes to grief and losing a loved one, or sometimes even losing a job, it's not your fault that they died. You know, it's not your fault that sometimes you're dismissed unfairly. But this thing just showed up at your doorstep. But it's still your responsibility to pick yourself up through these moments. And honestly, it's a lot easier when God is with you through these moments. So, the next thing I'd like to talk about is the importance of community. Community is really important. You know, there's no trophy for who can suffer the most all by themselves. And I know that I'm privileged to actually have a loving group of amazing friends and family who show up for me in different ways. Like, guys, thank you so much. I'm really grateful for how much you show up for me emotionally, you know, financially, just with jokes, you know, just sending you memes just to keep things light during the moment, you know, such people. And I know that not everybody has that, but if you do have people around you, you have to be deliberate about also being the one to cultivate friendships and saying, I'm reaching out, I'm trying to be a friend to this person. And sometimes you could also look for a local church community. I really encourage this one strongly. And one church I like to recommend often, even though I don't pray there, is actually Miracle Life Family Church. They have a lot of different programs for counseling and people who are going through different troubles. And I know the Adventist Church, which I'm part of as well, has certain programs for counseling and the like. But I think the ones who I've seen who are actually quite deliberate, I've seen that Miracle Life Family Church are very deliberate. And one such program I actually participated in is the program called Changes That Heal. Even though I didn't finish it, I'd like to say that that program actually helps you to take more responsibility for your life and just get through different phases of your life. The next one is to change your environment. So I'm not saying that you erase all the traces of your loved ones away from your environment such that there are no pictures or anything anywhere, but environments tend to trigger us a lot more than we realize, you know. That's why people who work in marketing, like myself, or advertising, um, are not doing things out of the blue. When we put up adverts and billboards, we actually know that these things are effective. You may not be thinking about it consciously, but something in the house may be triggering your grief. So in my case, we didn't move from the house that we're living in when dad passed on, but we just tried to change the paint to happier colors. My room is actually pink and purple, just things to keep things light for you. The next point I'd actually like to talk about, all this is unscripted, I just want to speak from the heart. The next point I'd like to talk about is to be deliberate about feeling the pain. Resist the urge to numb it. It's like a wound. If it's dirty, you have to open it up and clean it. Don't just cover it up. Otherwise, it would be eating you up on the inside. So resist the urge to go to party after party. You know what I mean? Like, because I was that person, I have to confess. Like, I was from concert to concert, this one singing there, that one singing there, but I was just slowing down the healing process. But I truly started to not live in the grief when I got to a point where I actually told myself I have to feel the pain. I have to feel the pain. The other thing is, I think people don't realize that grief doesn't just catch you when a sad thing happens and you wish your loved one was there. Grief also catches you in the happy moments. So, for example, I remember this one moment. I actually got a job, a really great job. The contract was before me. And even though I was grateful in my heart, I felt sad that dad wasn't going to be there to celebrate this moment with me. So it's also important to just ensure that you have to remember that you have to throw yourself out there and be deliberate and keep going in life. Because was I not going to take this contract because dad's not there to celebrate with me? Of course I'm taking it because I need the job. So be honest with yourself, talk to God about it, most especially God. Talk to your friends, but most especially God, because there's a certain level of pain that your friends can't understand, but God understands the language of your tears. So there's certain pain that I believe and a certain intimacy that you can only share with God. So share these things with him, and also just try to throw yourself out there and actually continue doing life. And before you know it, you actually be happier in the moments. And it takes time. For some people, in a month they're over it. For other people, 2 or 3 years. But just give yourself time to actually heal. So all of this was unscripted, but if I do come up with other things that have helped me through, obviously I'll come back and I'll share those things. But this is all that I had for you in this week's episode of Honest Conversations with Esther. And I always like to end with talk to somebody, talk to a friend, and I'll see you next week. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe down below. See you next time.